But okay, then my question is, there is four points of view in there.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
There's Starlight. It was like your dream child. I had everything in my head. I just knew the story before I'd even written a single word. It was just a really strong idea, which is why There's Starlight is always going to be my baby. There's Elle, the female main character, and then her three guys, Lance, Brent, and Hayden, and they just came to me so strong and fully formed that it was genuinely really easy to write from four different point of views, because as soon as I switched, I knew exactly what any one of them would do in any given situation.
I was in awe of how did you actually manage to orchestrate this conflict on top of conflict and kind of tie them together. And hearing that it just was magic is not working for me. Like, I need to know how. Welcome to Raising Baby Authors. I'm Kasia, your host and a brand new writer. If you feel overwhelmed and lost about this whole writing thing, you're certainly not alone. Join me while I pester my author guests for writing advice and find out how they do it. Because if they could, then why not you? It truly takes a village to raise an author, so let me share my village with you. Hello, dear listener, and welcome back to the classroom. Thank you so much for giving me your time and attention. And let me introduce you to our new tutor today. It's author H.R. Lloyd. Hannah lives in the south of England with her husband and daughter. At university, Hannah studied creative writing and always wanted to carry on writing after her education, but it wasn't until 11 years later that she plucked up the courage to publish her first novel, Take Me Home. Hannah loves all things romance and reads romance novels like they're going out of fashion. Hannah aims to publish something under all of the romance subgenres that she enjoys. Hi, Hannah, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for agreeing to talk to me. I can see that you are all around romance reader like me. I will
Absolutely.
read anything. I will try anything. And so, which are the other genres that we're talking about? So you have contemporary now. You have,
Yep.
I think, a holiday romance. That's what I've seen.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I've got I've got a Dark Mafia series, that is now three-quarters of the way through. I've got my first book, Take Me Home, was a contemporary sort of billionaire romance, and I've got a Christmas novella, which the second in that series is coming out this year as well.
Oh,
So yeah, I sort of like to write a little bit of everything, and I've got sort of a few plans in the future, maybe to try some paranormal and maybe even some historical. So really, I just
oh,
want to dip my toe in all the waters.
well, but that sounds amazing. Wow. All right. I already got some idea from your bio about your background, but can you tell me more how you started? Did you always want to be a writer, and how did you finally decide?
Um, I don't think I always wanted to be a writer, but I have always written. So as long as I can remember, even as a kid, I used to love writing down stories. And I remember we did this project at school where we folded up an A4 piece of paper and in a particular way, and it made a book. And so we were all tasked to write a little book, and I kept doing that over and over and over again at home. I just loved doing it, and I don't think it ever really crossed my mind to think about doing it properly or professionally. Um, it was just something that I enjoyed doing for relaxation as a hobby. And I think, like most people, I got into it a lot during lockdown because we weren't allowed to go out. So being home and in front of a laptop was just sort of the natural thing to do. So that was when I'd already started my first novel, like the story, and just writing bits down as and when they came to me. Um, for years before lockdown. But when we were all sort of shut in and unable to go places, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try and actually put this together and make it a book. Again, with absolutely no intention of doing anything with it, but just to say that I've been able to do it. My best friend, who was also obviously stuck at home and a little bit bored, I told her what I was doing, and she said, "Can I read it?" And I said, "If you want." And then she read it and she said, "I absolutely loved it. When are you publishing it?" And I was like, all right, I'm not. But I looked into it and it turned out it was something I was able to do. So that was when I decided, actually, I think this is something I want to pursue, and I have been ever since.
Oh, that's an interesting path. You got your first beta reader, and from there you
Yeah,
got to publish.
yeah,
Wow, that's
absolutely.
amazing.
I definitely wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if it wasn't for her sort of saying, why aren't you publishing this? Do it. So I did.
Wow. Sally Thorne, who wrote the Hating Game,
Yes.
I listened to her on another podcast as well, and she was saying that her first book, I think it was The Hating Game, she wrote as a present for her friend, like
Oh,
just
really?
for fun. And then she read it, and it was this amazing thing, and they also kind of spurred her on to start either to query that. I don't remember how it actually went
Yeah.
down, but yeah, the point was that she wrote it for fun, and then that's how a career started. So yeah, that it's amazing to see that.
That's how they get you. I mean, you start writing, you do one, and then you just have the bug for it, and you just keep going and going and going, and your head's full of all these stories, and you just have to get them down.
So how much time did pass before between the first book and the second one?
So, like I said, the first one I'd been writing for years just because I had the story in my head and I just kept adding to it. But after that was published, I decided I'm going to do this. I think I published my first book in the September, and the following May, my second book came out. So I don't know what that is. That's October, about 8 months, 8, 9 months, something like that. Which was obviously a lot shorter than the first one, but I'm getting quicker.
Yeah, once you get the hang of it, gets faster.
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
hope, at least. I hope. I haven't published anything, but I'm like, it's gonna be faster.
The first book is always going to take you the longest because you're still figuring everything out and what you have to do and where you have to go and how to actually physically get it out there. It's always going to take you the longest time. And I think once you've got that under your belt, you can start sort of planning it and making plans as to when you want to publish your next one, because you'll have the steps in your head what you need to do to get it there. So
Ah, yeah, yeah. Once you have the reference, it's easier. All right. And you did study creative writing after all, but you said you never had plans to be a professional author. So, what did you plan to do with the degree?
well, I never knew what I wanted to do for a career, and but all my friends were going to university, so I wanted to go to university. But because I didn't have anything planned beyond that, I just decided I'd go to university and study what I enjoyed. So I studied drama and creative writing because I loved acting and I loved writing, and it made perfect sense. So that's what I did, and I absolutely loved my creative writing course. I wish I'd sort of skipped drama, to be honest, and just done the creative writing. It was, like I said, never meant to be anything more than just fun and enjoyable. Like I said in my bio, it was 11 years later, after my degree, that I actually decided to take that step. But I've been writing all the time in between.
I don't have a creative writing degree or even a course, like nothing in that. And so I listen to a lot of podcasts where they speak about should you have an MFA or should you not have an MFA, and like how does it help and how does it hinder. And so just from your perspective, do you think having education in creative writing helps you write faster, better, just gives you more foundation? How does that help you?
You know, because it was so long between studying and then actually writing for a purpose. I don't think that my creative writing degree has helped me in any way, because it, like I said, it's so long ago. I don't remember the lessons as such. If you were sort of studying creative writing and writing at the same time with the idea to publish, I'm sure it would probably be quite helpful. But it's definitely not necessary. You definitely don't have to do it. Writing, especially creatively and fiction, and it's all about experience and writing what's in your head. And you might be able to get help through a sort of course or a degree or whatever in formatting or the formula you need to put a story together. But you can look that up yourself. You can do your own research, and the best research that I think you can do for writing is reading. If you're reading lots in the genres that you're writing in, then you're going to get an idea of the sort of structure that you need for your story, and you are going to understand what you kind of writing styles you like and what kind of writing styles don't work for you, so you'll know how to put it together to create a piece of art that you are really happy with. Of course, having some sort of education around the creative writing subject is going to help you to an extent, but it's 100% not necessary. And um, yeah, like I said, the time between me actually writing and actually having those lessons, I've forgotten everything. I've got very little memory, to be honest. So I don't think it's helping me now, but it would have helped me if I was doing it then.
So now, if you did not have a creative writing education, would you spend your time getting these courses now to help you with your writing, or you think it's not necessary now?
Um, Possibly. I mean, as an adult, I went to college to do something else. Again, for fun, just because it was something I enjoyed. It was cake decorating, which is very very different. But I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I thought that would be fun. So maybe if I hadn't done a degree in creative writing, I would have chosen to do a course in it later on in life. I think the best thing about doing something like that, so joining courses later on as an adult, is actually finding other people who are interested in the same things that you're interested in. And so being in a classroom with your peers who are also sort of wanting to learn about writing structure and things like that, that's going to be your biggest education rather than the lessons that you're receiving personally. You know, talking to other people, doing what you're doing and comparing notes and things like that. I think that's the best sort of education you're going to get, which again, you can find in other ways if you're not doing the course.
Yes. So, yeah, I would agree. Like, I mean, I definitely do not have time for any such course at the moment with a full-time job, but I want to be writing, but I don't want to be doing any courses unless they are like online or I'm reading a craft book. But having a writing group really helps, even if it helps morally, just to, we have this monthly meeting that we do when we just gather and bitch about writing. Just
Absolutely.
complain about it. Even that helps. Like you just need people. And yeah, I mean, paying a lot for just having people around maybe is not the best
Yeah, and
use.
I think that's a really good point that you bring up. Is a lot of that's to do with money as well. You know, courses aren't free, and publishing, you can technically publish a book for free, but if you want to do it properly, and you're going to have to invest a little bit of money into it. And personally, I don't think putting your money towards lessons or courses is the best use of that resource if you're not flush with cash.
True. Yeah. For me, it's, well, I do have the money for it, but I don't think it's the best use of my time, at least, even though I might be wrong, I might be wrong. Yeah, but I'm trying to do it on my own, like DIY style for now, at least.
Absolutely.
All right. So I usually dig straight into writing because that's what interests
Sure,
me
let's do it.
most. So, how long does it take you from like zero to the first draft? And do you have any process that you follow when you write the first draft of a book?
Other authors who might listen to this are probably going to cringe at my answers because I'm sure I do everything wrong. I just do it the way it feels right to me. But I don't really have multiple drafts. I have a working copy of my book. And how I tend to write is I think there might be certain scenes that I've got a really clear idea of in my head, and I can get them written down pretty quickly. And I'll save them off all separately. But once I start writing properly, I just go from chapter one to the very end, and I work on it chronologically, and it's just one working document. And I'll probably go back and reread bits and change bits, but I don't save multiple drafts. There are no sort of how many drafts does it take before you get your final product, because I don't know. I'm just constantly changing it. And how long does it take is how long is a piece of string, because some of them, it completely depends how I've started writing and why I've started writing what I'm writing, if that makes sense. So when I started writing Their Starlight, which is the first in my sort of gangster series, I had a really clear idea of the story from start to finish, and so I could. Once I started writing, it came really quickly, and I actually managed to write that within really good time. But the second in the series, I had a really strong idea of the characters, but had no idea what their story was going to be, and so that I was just writing as and when things came to me, and that took a little bit longer. So because I write to relax, I write as a hobby. Like I said, I've got a job, so that's what I do for money. Writing is really just what I do because I absolutely love doing it. I don't set myself deadlines until I have an idea how long things are going to take. I wouldn't say, I have to release my next book within the next 3 months if I'm nowhere near being ready to do that. So, yeah, I don't really have set timelines or how long things take me. It completely depends what my idea is and where that idea's come from and how I want to start writing.
All right, that is very interesting because, well, Their Starlight is the only book that I can talk from experience because I've read it. Well,
Yeah,
okay, to be honest, I'm at 82% right now, so I'm almost done. It's just don't tell me how it ends, okay?
no spoilers.
Yes, no spoilers, please. I was gonna ask you about that book specifically because, and you just told me that you knew the story from beginning to end and
Yeah,
you knew everything so clearly. But okay, then my question is, there is four points of view in there.
yeah.
How did you do that?
I don't know. I, I just their Starlight. It was like your dream child. Everything was just. I had everything in my head. I just knew the story before I'd even written a single word. I knew the characters inside out. That it was just a really strong idea, which is why their Starlight is always going to be my baby. I absolutely love it. Yeah, so I don't know how, and I don't know why, but the characters, like you said, there's four. There's Elle, the female main character, and then her three guys, Lance, Brent, and Hayden, and they just came to me so strong and fully formed that it was genuinely really easy to write from four different point of views, because as soon as I switched, I knew exactly what any one of them would do in any given situation, and it was just a joy to write in four different point of views, to be honest.
Wow. So there is a bit of like magic there because when I started, I didn't know what to expect. Like you're a new author for me. I was like, okay, there's gonna be four points of view. I wasn't sure what to expect from the conflict. That's the thing. So I was thinking maybe externally it's gonna be all charged and complicated, but then the relationship itself will be easy because they will all just love each other and just want to share, and everybody's gonna be happy. But it was so complicated. There was conflict between Lance and Hayden. There was conflict between Brent and everybody else, and not everybody was into the whole relationship from the beginning. This
Yeah.
was very, yeah. I was in awe of how did you actually manage to orchestrate this like conflict on top of conflict and kind of tie them together. And hearing that it just like was magic is not working for me. Like I need to know how.
I have to say they don't all come like that, believe me, and I wish I could say that I sat down and meticulously plotted everything out and had mood boards and all sorts of things going, but not unfortunately, fortunately for me, but unfortunately for giving advice, it was just there, and that was a little bit of magic, as you said, just for that one. I'm hoping it happens again one day.
So you don't outline at all, not with any book.
Well, no, I'm. That's one of the most commonly asked questions when people find out you're a writer, is if you are a plotter or a pantser,
Hmm.
and I am both, and I am neither. I I have to. It, like I said, it completely depends why I've started writing what I'm writing. So sometimes a story comes to me, and I will, if I've got a strong idea of what the story is, I will plot it out. I will write it down step by step how I want things to go, and then I can fit all the, let's say, fluffy bits in between and around it. Sometimes characters come to me a lot quicker. So I might start by writing out my character profiles, and then I just make up a story to go with them. And most commonly is I get specific scenes in my head that I want to write down, and then once I've written down sort of all the scenes I've got sort of flowing through my head, then I start writing from the beginning, and I just slot those scenes in where is necessary. And I think that's probably how I write most of the time. So even their Starlight, where everything was very clear in my mind, I started out by writing my favourite scenes, the bits that I knew that were I really wanted to see in the book, and then I just built on it from there. And when I finish with my holiday romance, which I'm hoping will be done this week, I'm moving on to the fourth and final book in the Mafia series, and I have so many scenes for that I want to get written down, to the point that I'm probably not going to be able to fit them all in there because that might be all over the place. But yeah, I tend to write from sort of the key drama moments, and then try and place them in a cohesive story, rather than actually plotting it out.
But it does sound like some form of plotting, because what they tell you when you're plotting is to define the turning points in your story.
Yes.
And for you, those scenes are the turning points to some extent. So you are
Yes.
kind of plotting, but in
Yeah.
your own way. And I think with every author so far, we've been through the same conversation about, you take what is good for you. You don't have to be plotter. You don't have to be a pantser. You just choose whatever is good for you, whatever makes you feel better and makes you less stressed than the other way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Whatever works for you, just keep doing it.
But you said you're working in the same document. It doesn't hurt you to like delete stuff and make changes?
So the only thing I would do if I was going to delete a large chunk of text where I think, maybe I've started on some sort of mini subplot and then I think that's not going to work here. If I was to do that, I would copy it and paste it into a separate document and sort of keep it in the ether if I wanted to use it at another time. But yeah, no. Apart from that, I don't save multiple drafts. Like I said, a lot of writers would listen to that and go, "Oh," but I, yeah, I don't know. I've just never done it. I think
If
I would
that's
forget to
if
keep
that's
saving
okay
it.
for you, why create yourself more work, right? Like if it
Absolutely,
works, if
and then
it
I'd be really paranoid about uploading the wrong
yeah.
version when it comes to publishing. And yeah, I'm not organized enough for that. So I just need to know that what I've got on my computer is the final version.
And which software are you using? You're writing Google Docs or?
Just Microsoft Word.
Oh, and it
That's all I
doesn't
use.
crash on you. I heard a
No,
lot of people complain.
no. I've never had, touch wood. I've never had any problems using Word. So that's what I'll keep doing. But I get I get really overwhelmed and nervous when I hear my author friends talking about other software that they're using, and I'm like, should I be getting this? Should I be doing this? What if I can't work it? And then I think, well, if what I'm doing is working, I'll keep doing that. So
Not that I have any experience, but the only thing you should be doing is saving backups, basically. The rest is not important. You can write in the notebook if you want, just save backups and you're good. So, you said you write as a hobby for you, so you write because you enjoy it. Do you have a routine? Do you try to write every day or?
So as I mentioned before, I have a job, but it's only a part-time job. But I also have a 3-year-old. So when I'm not working, I have my daughter with me, and I'm married, and we have friends, and we go out and do things, and family, and all sorts of stuff. But if I'm ever sat down not doing anything, I'm writing. So I don't have a routine. I don't always write between these hours and these hours because that's just not how my life works. I don't know where I'm going to be at any given time. But if I am sat down for relaxation time, I've got my laptop open in front of me. So I do tend to write every day. My husband works shifts, so he does 2 weeks of early shifts, in which case he'll be with me in the evenings, and then 2 weeks of late shifts when he is away in the evenings. And that's when I tend to do most writing and my best writing because I can be on my own and sort of just really bury my nose in my laptop, if you will. Whereas when he's around, he likes to have conversation. Strange, but it's true. Um,
They all do,
so
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I do write every day mostly, but it's just as and when I'm able to. And sometimes I'm writing, which actually means I have my laptop open on my lap, but I'm watching TV and I don't actually write a single word. I can't remember who it was who said it, but said, sometimes writing is staring at a blank page document for 8 hours and then closing your computer. So, you know, sometimes that happens, but I class it as writing if I'm thinking about what it is I want to put down.
I haven't been like sitting down and writing in the work in progress for a while, but I have growing list of notes on things that I'm working on, and they sometimes are pieces of dialogue or something like that. So that also kind of counts, but it's hard to quantify though. Like I cannot say that I was writing for this amount of time or I wrote this many words. I have no idea. I just wrote something down.
Yeah.
So that also works. But you mentioned that you have so you hire an editor for your books, right?
Yeah.
How do you set those dates? Because then you do have a deadline. You need to.
Yes. I mean, obviously, I can't just ask my editor to drop everything when I'm ready. My editor's very lovely, and we have a really good relationship. And so I will contact her when I think I know when I'll be ready and ask her if she's available. So, for example, I think my last book came out in July, and I'd already started writing my Christmas book, but I only had a few chapters. And so I contacted her and said, I want this done. Could I get it to you for, when did I ask? For middle of September. And she said, no, I'm busy. So can you get it to me for the middle of August? And I was like, yeah, sure. And now I'm now I'm pushed, but I'm getting there. So yeah, sometimes she does set me a deadline to work within her schedule, and then I have to really sort of push for it. But there is nothing like leaving it to the last minute to get the adrenaline flowing and write some of your best stuff. So yeah, I don't set myself deadlines. I don't say that I'm going to write a book in 3 months or I'm going to write a book in 6 months. But once I know that I've got a book and that it's definitely going to go through to completion, then I will contact my editor and then we will set a deadline. And she's usually very good at saying, yeah, you can do it, when I say, no, I can't. So,
So this is the kind of process that is comfortable for you, and you're planning to keep on doing that because you might have more books coming out. You will get more readers. You will get fans who will start being demanding and like, where is my next book? And then you might have to reconsider and start having deadlines.
I mean, if I ever got to a point where I was able to quit my job to write full time, then I think I would be a lot more demanding of myself and put a lot more pressure on myself to ensure that I'm getting books out in good time and things like that and delivering to an audience, a paying audience, if you will. But right now, I'm writing for me, so I'll do it. I don't want to put stress on myself because then it's not fun. But at some point, hopefully I'll be able to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And hopefully when you do make it a full-time job, it's not going to take away from the enjoyment because once
Yeah,
something becomes a job, then it's harder to enjoy it.
yeah, no, absolutely. I do have a friend, an author friend, who does do it as a full time job. We all have stresses and we all have concerns, but hers are just different because obviously when she puts a book out and it's not necessarily done as well as she thought it was going to do, that means possible, financial impact on her. Whereas for me, I just put a book out because I want to do it, and you know,
So, in the beginning of our conversation, you were saying that you were not aware in the beginning that you could actually publish the book by yourself, and then you discovered that you could. Can you just tell me more about that? Like, how did you find the sources, the information? It's a lot of work, right? You have to open all these accounts, you have to get the copyrights, you have to get the cover, and all of those things. And how did you convince yourself that you can do it all on your own?
I'm still convincing myself, but it's. I mean, the internet is a wonderful thing, and there are so many people out there who are willing to help and share resources. And even now, I wish when I was looking to publish my first book, I wish I knew then what I know now. And I'm sure in 4 books' time, I'll be saying, "God, I wish I knew then what I knew now." So, you're constantly learning. But when I was looking to publish my first book, I did put out inquiries. I did look about getting published the traditional way, and nothing was really coming from that. And then when I was looking into it more, the sort of timelines that traditional publishers use, you could submit a book and you might not be published for another 2 years, even if they accept it. And I have no patience for that whatsoever. We already had quite a decent following on social media on TikTok from doing book recommendations. And so I put questions out there to anyone who'd help me, and I had some really fantastic people contact me and give me advice, which was just really lovely. And joining groups on Facebook and putting questions out on Facebook, I got a lot of advice on there as well. And that's how I sort of learned about self-publishing directly through Amazon, which is how I publish my books. And yeah, so slowly but surely you get there and you get the information. But there's always people willing to help, which I think is really lovely. And finding a group of people who are at different levels of publishing, I think is really helpful. And having sort of a chat going and helping each other out is probably the best resource I've got.
Yeah, you're completely right. There are many resources, some free, some slightly not free.
Yeah.
When I just started, just even thinking about writing and publishing, I started suddenly, like, I think I maybe signed up to someone or a podcast or YouTube channel, and then I signed up to someone's newsletter, and I started getting a lot of like, there's this free seminar about publishing, and it's like a 3 4 day seminar with like 50 different lectures where people will tell you about KDP, about ads, about everything you want. So I used to do a lot of those. Like I was just devouring all those seminars and all those workshops. Now I don't do that anymore because I feel like I already got a good level of knowledge there, and when I need it I'll find it again. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of help out
Yeah.
there, a lot of groups on Facebook as well, people asking
And
questions.
I've definitely found with the sort of bookish community, most of the time, let's say like 95% of the time, everyone's rooting for you. Everyone wants you to do well. So all the other authors that I've had interactions with, they no one gatekeeps. Everyone wants to help each other out. Everyone wants to give information and pass on resources and let you know about an editor who's really good, but who's also really sort of value for money, or everyone wants to help you out and boost each other. So I think if people are sort of thinking about publishing or writing a book, just becoming a part of the community in advance is probably the best thing that you can do, and that is where you're going to get all your advice and information. And if you ask a question, you'll find that people just want to help you.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So you mentioned you have an editor. Do you also use beta readers, for example?
Yes, I do. I don't have sort of a large group of beta readers, and I don't rely a lot on beta readers. So I can't remember how I found my initial beta readers. To be fair, I think I posted in a Facebook group for ARC readers, beta reader, and alpha readers, and asked if anyone wanted to read. through what I had, and I got a couple of people from there who I have continued using. I'm also a part of a Discord group with authors, and so I often I think there's only about 6 or 7 of us in this particular group, so I always put a little something on there when I've got something coming out and just saying, does anyone want to beta read for me? And I normally get 2 or 3 people who want to help. And but we're all very relaxed. We all do it for each other. And sometimes you might start helping someone out, and then you've got your own deadlines or your own family life, so you only do half of the book or something like that. And it's never a problem. So yes, I do send out to beta readers, but I don't rely too much on it. I rely mostly on my editor and ARC readers as well.
Oh, yeah, that would be my next question. So, how do you find ARC readers and what's your strategy there?
So I think ARC readers, I am still navigating the best thing about that, the best way to approach that. Sorry, shall I say? Um, so the most number of ARC readers I had the most number of reviews, which makes sense, and that was a sort of good sell for me. But I've also sign up ARC readers per book, rather than having an ARC team. Whereas now I'm sort of changing that, so I'm building an ARC team who will receive advanced copies of all of my books moving forward. So I've got sort of a working relationship with that group of people, and I'm hoping that will get you sort of give me better feedback from reviews. Because the biggest thing about ARCs is you could send out 50, 100 ARCs to people, and you will only ever see like a 10% of them maybe reviewing.
Hmm.
And I know a lot of people get very frustrated about it. It is very frustrating, but that's just the way it goes, and you just sort of have to live with it. So at the moment, I'm trying to build an ARC team to try and sort of keep using the same people and hopefully have a good relationship and get more reviews for it. Most of the people who have joined my team are people who have already read my books and have already enjoyed them, thankfully. So hopefully they will continue to enjoy what I publish next. That's how I'm building my team. But sort of initially finding ARC readers, again, there are Facebook groups that you can go on. You just post what you're hoping to send out and when, and if people want to sign up for it, and on social media, that sort of thing, to get that initial interest. But it's been a lot easier finding ARC readers after you've got a couple of books under your belt and people have already read them and they know you and they know your style. And yeah, that's been a lot easier than the first one.
Yeah, yeah. I think the first one, you might need like a unique strategy for that. Like, I don't know, one of my first guests, I know her personally because she reached out to me personally, and we talked about her debut novel, and she asked me to read it, and basically since then I've been arc reading for her ever since.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was like just finding people and messaging them personally, asking, because it's your first book, you don't really get to build an arc team yet. But yeah, this is one of the good ways of reaching people as well, just to have a personal connection.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And what I didn't realize at the beginning as well is there are people out there who just ARC read, and that's how they get their books. They sign up for all the ARC teams that they can, and that's so they're what you would call an experienced ARC reader. And that's a really good place to start if you're right at the beginning and you don't have a following or a fan base, if you will. And yeah, I would definitely recommend sort of the Facebook groups for ARC reading to find those people and get them to sign up and read your books, because they tend to be the ones who write the most cohesive reviews as well, rather than a it's great. They'll give you a good sort of good synopsis and breakdown of why they liked it as well, which are always fun to read. So
Ah, so you read your own reviews.
yeah, I'm terrible. I read all my reviews. I read all my reviews. I'm checking my stats daily. Yeah. And all my friends tell me like just leave it for a month. Don't read anything for a month. And I'm no every day I'm checking to see what's on there.
So, I mean, as any author, you probably have some negative reviews out there as well. Do they impact you a lot?
Do you know what? I'm very lucky in some ways. I don't have anything. I have bad ratings, so I've got a few 1 or 2 stars, but they've not come with reviews, so not a lot I can do about that. And I've had a couple people who have DNF'd my book, but I've understood why when they've put it in, and I've not been too bothered by it. So I think I'm quite lucky because I've not really had any really negative reviews. Um, that I've seen anyway. I'm sure there might be some on social media that I just haven't been tagged in or something. I don't know. So I can't really say how I'd react if I got like a really horrible review. I know other people, other authors who, when they receive bad reviews, it really does bring them down, and you can completely understand why. But in the end, your book's not going to be for everyone, and as long as you sort of the majority of your reviews are in the sort of 4 or 5 star, then you're in a good place. And if you do receive a bad review, to me that's just sort of saying that your book has reached far enough that it's reaching the wrong people as well as the right people. So I'll try and look on the bright side, but that's just the mood I'm in now. If I was in a bad place and then I read a bad review, I'd probably be throwing things, but whatever.
Well, so catching on the on what you said about reaching the right people, the wrong people. So, do you have any marketing strategy that you're using? I see your videos on TikTok and on Instagram. So, is that a part of your marketing plan?
That is all of my marketing plan. I don't have a marketing plan. I hear the word marketing and I hide under the table. It's honestly the most difficult part is marketing and selling your book. Writing, like I said, is the fun part. That's what I do because I really enjoy it. Then trying to get people to read it is just it's so difficult and it's so nerve wracking as well. But the way I sort of got back into reading as an adult was through TikTok and through book recommendations I started seeing. So that's sort of been my focus because I know that's what has made me want to pick up books to read them. So I do all of my marketing on social media and trying to build platforms. And I haven't yet looked into sort of paid advertising or anything like that because I'm just not in a position to be able to do it at the moment. But yeah, the all the sort of advice you receive about it is you've got to keep talking about your book, and the more you talk about it, the more other people are going to start listening. So that's all I'm trying to do at the moment.
Well, I from my perspective, when I look at your videos, for example, I can see that you might think you don't have a strategy, but it is like you are looking at what other authors are doing,
Mm-hmm.
and mostly it comes down to picking some sort of hook,
Yeah.
piece of a paragraph, a couple of sentences, a piece of dialogue, and just making it intriguing enough to for someone to be like, oh, what is this book? I need to read that. And
Yes.
so that is a strategy in itself, and it works great, I think. This is something that not everybody's actually good at, and they need to be told that this needs to be done,
Yeah.
and you kind of picked it up naturally just because this is how you got into this. And this is again coming back to the same, you choose what works for you. If it works for you,
Absolutely.
that's amazing.
Yeah, I'll say. And I have to say, when you're writing and you write a sentence or just a little bit of dialogue or whatever, and you think, oh, that's going to be really good on social media, and you get that feeling, it's just like, mwah, it's beautiful to know that you've just got your hook. And I've started putting them all in a separate document. I actually have like several draft emails, so I start putting them in there. So when I come to doing my marketing on TikTok or on Instagram, I've got a list of quotes from the book that I can use all ready to go.
Okay, so next time when someone asks you about your marketing strategy, that is
That
it.
is it.
You are marketing and you're doing it naturally, and I think it's. I mean, it's for you to decide, but I think it's working, right? Since your
I
books are
think so.
selling, and I've seen you signing some books in a video
I have,
recently.
yes.
Yes. Well, were those UK orders or somewhere out?
Yes, they all happen to be UK orders. I only put up a order form for the month of July, and it was open internationally. but I just only happen to receive orders from the UK. But it'll open up again in a few months' time, I should think, and I'm going to keep doing it like that. And I think, like I said in the video that I posted, I put the order form up fully paired for no one to want to order from me, because the books are a little bit more expensive to get the signature in them. But I did. I got orders, and people were really excited, and people ordered multiple books in one order, and that was a win. That was a win. That was a good day when you realise that people were genuinely that interested, and it was people who'd read the books as well. So they've already read them, they've already paid to read them, and now
It's a
they're buying them again.
trophy. It's a
The
trophy for them.
trophy.
Yes. Well, I think you just kind of got me to the next questions. You got excited about signing books for someone and you didn't think that would be possible. So, what else would be your definition of I've made it as an author?
Do you know what? I think there's so many different milestones, and so many. There's the obvious stats, number of pages read, number of sales, and things like that. But something that I've always said that I'd really love to happen would be to see one of my books out in the wild. So, to be on holiday, to be by the pool, and to look over and see the person next to you is reading one of your books. I think that would just be amazing. Yeah, to sort of organically come across one of your books, or
Would you
someone
be
talking
like,
about your books.
hey, I wrote it. I wrote it, you
Do
know?
you know? Someone asked me that. They were like, "Oh, would you tell them? Oh, I wrote that book." But I'd think, well, what if they were really hating it? Just take the win because you've seen it. So I just like, "Oh, are you enjoying your book?" And they turn around saying, "Nah, my friend told me
Ah,
to read it, but I don't think it's very good." And you'd be like, okay. So I don't know, but that would, I think, no matter where I was sales wise or anything like that, if I came across someone complete stranger reading my book out in public, I would consider myself a true author. Yeah.
oh, I need to add that to my list. I have a little list going on of like what would I
What's
think
on
would
your
be
list?
amazing. I think there were things like going to a writers like conference, not a big one, but like I've been at Rare in Paris, so going there, for
Yes.
example, and having a little table, half a table even, that would be enough.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
having
that's on my list too.
something. Yeah, having like close, not close relationship, but some sort of like say that another author is like my bestie or something, and like having blurbing each other's books or something like this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things on that list. I already forgot most of them, but yeah, this is something that I also want to add. Seeing my book
Yes.
in the wild.
The other one I have is, because I've seen so many people, is people who have tattoos of their favorite books. So if
Oh,
someone got a tattoo around my book, I think I'd lose it. Be so excited. So yeah, I think mine are a little bit unrealistic to be honest. Asking someone to permanently ink themselves, but
well,
yeah,
it
that
will
would be
have to be
amazing.
their idea. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
of course, of course. I think you'll have more luck if you write a fantasy or like a romantasy or something. People
yeah,
like swords and other things with some phrases from their books.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm thinking. I never thought about tattoos for other people. I don't have any tattoos, and I wanted one. And I was like, when I get a book, and I will have a very the phrase, a sentence that I would really love from my own book, I will tattoo
yeah.
it on myself. I don't care if I'm
Absolutely,
60 by then. I'll tattoo it on myself.
that's a good goal.
Yeah. Okay, let's just for a second come back to like the very beginning when I was asking you about all the genres that you're reading.
Yeah,
So, can you tell me if you have authors that you are aspiring to, that you would like to either have their success or just like be as good as them?
yeah. I mean, oh, there are so many. There are so many authors who I look up to, and I mean, I don't being as successful as someone like, say, Tessa Bailey, who I absolutely love on the sort of rom com side of things. She can do no wrong. I don't think I could hope to have quite that success, but to be mentioned in the same sentence as her would be amazing. If someone said, "Oh, my favorite authors are H.R. Lloyd and Tessa Bailey," I'd be like, that would just be incredible. So yeah, definitely Tessa Bailey. always loved Sylvia Day. Her I've read, she's managed to write in several of the different subgenres. So she's done the sort of the contemporary billionaire romance. She does a lot of historical. She's done paranormal. So I really admire her for being able to do that, because when I first started telling people that that's what I wanted to do, I wanted to, because it was all about doing what I love. I didn't want to sort of stick to just one type of romance, because I loved all of them. I wanted to give it all a go. And a lot of people said that's really difficult to market. You need to sort of stick to your lane, and then everyone knows you as a dark romance author. And I was like, but I'll write 3 dark romance books and then I'll be bored of it. I don't want to keep doing that. So anytime anyone ever tells me that's a bit difficult to do, I just think Sylvia Day did it. If she did it, I'll do it. So yeah, she's definitely one of my favorites. And B. Page is one of my favorite authors, and she also happens to be a friend of mine. But I was a fan of hers before I was a friend of hers. And her Academy of Stardom series was what completely inspired my New Generation Gangster series. So her Academy of Stardom series it's a gangster series, but they are dancers as well. So B. Page loves dance, so she wrote a lot of dance into her books, and it was sort of the emotions and the artistry around dance, and that's exactly what I wanted to do with their Starlight, about music and singing. And so yeah, to be sort of up there with her would be amazing as well.
Wow. Okay. I need to catch up because, well, I know Tessa Bailey because I don't know how you don't know Tessa Bailey.
Exactly, yeah.
And I've heard of Sylvia Day. I know she's super famous, but I started reading romance a bit later, so I haven't read any of her books. And B Page, I don't know at all, so I am going to check that out.
Yeah, she wrote um, the Academy of Stardom series and lots of different series and duets, and they're all set in the same universe, so they all cross over,
Oh, that's fun.
which I really love. I really love that sort of world building, and I always feel like, when you're reading a book and a character from a different book you've read pops up, it's like a celebrity cameo in your favorite TV show. It gets you so excited. So that's why I really
I'm
love her
squealing.
books.
I'm squealing when I see
Yeah.
characters from other books that I loved. Oh, yes, please, more of that. Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. All right. There is one question that I ask everybody, and
Okay.
it's a two-parter, but you can choose one or two or both. So, what is the best and or the worst writing advice that you've gotten so far?
That's a tough one. Do you know what? A piece of advice that I really don't like, and everyone tells you, is just write it. Just keep writing. And I find that annoying, because sometimes it's not possible. But I tell people that as well, because there's always people on these groups that I'm part of on Facebook and stuff, saying I want to write my first novel and I don't know how to start, and I just say, just start. But it's actually just really unhelpful advice, because they could have probably thought of that themselves. So I think the best piece of advice I heard was, if you like it, someone else will like it. So if you're reading your book and you think, oh, I think it's quite good, but I'm not sure it's ready to go out there. If you like it, someone else is going to read it and like it. So you've just got to believe in yourself, because self doubt is a huge partner in this job, and you will be living with it constantly. That's what I tell myself whenever I'm rereading what I've written before it goes off to the editor or before it gets published. And I'm thinking, I'm doing it at the moment. I'm writing a rom com, and I keep reading it and I think it's really funny. And then I'm like, no one else is going to think that's funny. And then I have to tell myself, if you do, someone else will. So I think that's the best advice I ever heard, was that however you feel about your book, someone else will as well. So if you love it, someone else will love it.
I don't think I've heard that advice yet. So yeah, and I think it's really useful. And I'm just remembering now that I behind me only have a first draft of a book. So I've only written a first draft. It's now waiting for for me to come back to it whenever I want. And I do these like every Friday. There's the tag on Facebook and Instagram called Friday Kiss, and they give you a word, like a prompt, and you search in your manuscript whether you have that word, and you pick out a little snippet and you post it as the sort of sharing a piece of your work
Yeah.
in progress. And I realized that I did it once because I dared myself, because I was very scared to share anything that I write. And now I do it because I find a little snippet that has some random word in it, and I'm reading and I'm like, it's actually nice.
That's quite good. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like it. I am still scared that people are not gonna like it, but I'm like, oh no, but this is cute. Like, I'm still gonna post it. I don't care. So
Yes.
it's really helping. It's helping with a little bit of confidence, and just helps to keep going. That I know that there's mountains of edits that I need to do, but when I read these tiny pieces, like in portions, it seems like, oh, it's not that bad. You just take these 100 pieces, you put them together, and maybe something good will come out.
Yeah. A beautiful puzzle.
Yes. Another question that I ask almost at the end from everybody is whether you have any recommendations on YouTube channels, podcasts, craft books, whatever helps you improve your craft or just entertains you about writing.
I don't have so much sort of YouTube or podcast so much, but I do have some sort of faithful books that I keep by me when I'm writing. So I have I can't remember who it's by. It's all the way over there, but it's the Thesaurus of Emotions.
Oh, yeah, I have that behind me. Let me check who's the
Yes,
author. It's Angela Ackerman and Becca Puglisi. Yeah.
that's it. And there's lots in that series as well. There's theory of a thesaurus of trauma and all sorts of different ones. And I have put a couple more on my wish list recently. Yeah, that's really good. Because as a writer, you're always told to show, don't tell. And if you have written anything or ever been in an English class or a creative writing class, that's what you've been told is show, don't tell. And that's a lot easier said than done. So that's a really good resource of showing how someone's feeling without physically saying so and so was feeling sad. I also have a couple of books specific for romance writers. I have Thinking Like a Romance Writer
Oh,
by Dahlia Evans, which is all about sensuality and writing about body parts, but that's everything from eyes and hands and mouth and other places as well, and sort of different ways they can be sort of described and used and things like that, which is really helpful in writing romance and love scenes. And then there's several sort of books about structuring your work, which I love and I do read, but I usually end up not using them because, like I said, I just write things down as they come to me. But The 5 Sentence Method by Rebecca Thorne is a really good book as well. And these were pretty much all of these were recommended to me by an author friend as well. So my biggest resource is my author friends.
of course.
And there's a lot of things that I could probably look up myself, but I just ask them and hope that they have the answer. So
Yeah, so the emotion thesaurus is something that I've used as well. I really like it. I have all of them on my wish list as well. They are
yeah,
expensive.
they are expensive.
I'm kind of saving up for like I'm saving them as a reward for something. I don't know. I write 25,000 words, I'm gonna get another book or
Yeah,
something.
that's good.
Yeah, things like that. And the other one that you mentioned, I haven't heard of it yet actually, so I'm going to check that out. And I'm going to put all the books in the show notes so that
Yeah.
people can also check them out. Okay. Yeah, you were just saying that you do read the story structure books, but
Mhm.
you don't use them. I mean, you might think you don't use them, right? But
Yeah,
probably on some level, you since you do have plot points kind of
yeah.
written.
Subconsciously, they're probably there, but I'm
Yeah,
not. I'm not consciously thinking about them when I'm writing. Probably.
yeah, and it becomes intuitive at some point. So you have already what 5 books
Yes.
to your belt, so you probably kind of have a feeling by now when something should happen. And I am reading now. Always, it's very hard to turn off like the analysis brain when I'm reading. I'm always looking at my Kindle at the percentage in the book. So something happens, and I'm like, so how far is this? 25%. Okay, that looks
Yeah.
like the end of the first act, and this is what's about.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I've been doing the same with their Starlight, and yeah, you do follow structure. You have I mean, I haven't finished it yet. Maybe it will completely fall apart at the end,
Oh,
but
yeah.
but
That
you do
last
follow.
20%, you never know.
Just tell me, is there a cliffhanger at the end?
No, no,
Okay,
it's a standalone series, so all your characters that you're currently reading will have their story tied up nice and neatly.
okay, good to know.
I
Good to know,
promise.
because I'll be nervous. I'll be nervous.
Yeah, no, I know.
So by the end, I usually ask what's coming out soon from you. So you were talking, you have a Christmas book coming out.
Yes, I do. So last year I released And a Partridge on Pear Street, which was a rom-com Christmas novella, brother's best friend, one bed, just full of festive cheer, and I absolutely adored it. And because I absolutely adored it, I wanted to write another one based on the FMC's brother and his wife, which is what is hopefully coming out in November. This is going to be a sort of story of long-term marriage and family, and sort of the struggles of finding time with your partner when you are surrounded by so many people and things like that, and sort of living with the changes to life and in having family and
So
stuff
it's
like
like
that.
marriage in trouble or less in trouble.
Not so much. It's not so much in trouble. It's a Christmas rom-com, so it's quite fluffy.
Okay.
But the sort of premise is they've had their third child in the year that's just happened, and Lisa, our FMC, hasn't quite bounced back as she had from her first two children, and she's feeling a little bit self-conscious. And Harry, her husband, in trying to do the right thing, has made her feel a little bit more self-conscious, and so they are just trying to reconnect and find time to be together,
Oh,
and find themselves again, I think. And it's sort of split timeline, so we're exploring this Christmas, but also when they first met, which was around Christmas. And yeah,
is it also a novella or it's a full?
it's a novella, so it's going to be a similar sort of length to the first one, which is 172 pages. And yeah, I'm really excited.
Well,
Really excited for it.
it already sounds very nice. I love these like very emotional, and I mean, you don't need to have big breakups or anything like that. You just real life, you know.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
All right.
It is all about real life and family and love, and yeah.
Oh, that sounds amazing. So, how can my listeners find you online?
So they can find all of my books on Amazon. All To follow me on social media, I am on TikTok and on Instagram, and that is the best place to find out about new releases. And also, if you go to my website, you can sign up to my newsletter, so you will get first glimpses at cover reveals, first opportunities to sign up for things that come up like signed paperbacks. That's probably the best place to find me. Yeah.
Okay. I will put all the links as well in the show notes so the listeners can find everything. Well, thank you so much for
Thank
talking
you.
to me. It was so interesting. You're the fourth author that I have, and everybody is so different.
Different. Yeah.
It's
I can
amazing.
imagine.
It's really amazing. Thank you so much for coming. If you like what you hear so far, please consider subscribing and tune in for the next episode. If you have burning questions about writing you'd like to have answered, head to my Instagram page at kkalbabooks and leave me a message. Or use my email k.k.alba.books@gmail.com. If you'd like your favorite author to answer your question on my show, Again, head to my Instagram or email me to let me know which author you'd like me to invite, and I'll try to get over my anxiety and do it. On the other hand, if you're an author who's published at least one book, traditional or indie, and you'd like to become a guest, well, you know what to do by now. Message me and let's get to know each other.